to be here. I'm very happy to be here because I believe it's like kind of like a special message today from the divine on how we need to take a look around us, right? We might be so self-involved or so self-focused or, whatever, wherever it is that you're in life, you might realize that there's things that are happening around you that you don't want to pay attention to because you don't want to get sucked into that energy. But it's more so a way of what I feel is a way of actually looking around you and understanding what's happening right now, because we're in a time of prophecy. And believe it or not, there are many things that are coming into fruition. And I speak from personal experience because I sit here and I listen to the prophecies that my wife gives me and gives to the community, right? And I have literally watched everything unfold, and I have literally watched from more than one prophecy, from more than one interpretation of prophecy, okay? Whether it's Hopi, whether it's Native, whether it's Indian, whether it's English, okay? I have literally watched them start to come together and unfold right in front of our very faces that we are facing right now, that we are seeing. It's almost as if everybody could see the collective rising is manifesting underneath the chaos or the perceived chaos that is out there, trying to suck everybody into what they're doing and not turn to God the way that it was intended to not turn to the divine, the higher aspect of you, the higher self. And here's where the prophecy gets interesting, is because when there is no light, focusing what we focus on, we allow to exist, right? And this is kind of like, it's a universal law. It's the law of the universe, right? And what's happening to this lower dimensional state of everything that is going on right now is it's literally showing you the outcry or the outpouring of civilization trying to understand themselves or suffering from an identity crisis, right? It could be very political. It could be very, it could be very holy. It could be very religious. It could be, all these things are slightly unfolding right in front of our very eyes to help us understand that we are in a time of prophecy, that understanding the prophetic and how it works is of an importance, because it's basically how we receive information to help us receive higher understanding of the things that are happening to us along the way as this dimension crumbles. I'll get into that. So basically the principle that I told you about dimensional crumbling is when the energy is no longer available to allow it to exist. Similar to the way that we manifest things, by the things that we focus on, we continue to allow them to exist because we take our divine light and we shed it on it. This is how we create our universe. This is how we create our physical reality from a very higher perspective. But it's an understanding that is required for us to see what's going on outside of ourselves. There's a very grand deliberation that is happening to you, and also a grand rising within us, that there's a call to us to go within. Not without is what I'm also hearing. And I think that a lot of people may be misinterpreting this message as some type of fear construct. This is a full moon and this is full of ego, okay? So if you're triggered, if you feel like your trauma's coming up, if you feel like you want to blame somebody for something, or you need some type of emotional release, then that is the very indication that you need to go within yourself and come to terms with whatever it is that's holding you back right now. And that's how God works, man. That's how spirit works. That's how we work. We, the divine, we are seeking our sovereignty and our freedom from the purgatory and the slavery that we have been receiving. And yeah, it sounds like, okay, well, this could be a cult. No, believe it or not, it's the occult that put us here. And that is what we're starting to realize, that we have free will, free choice, and freedom to do what we choose, because it is our divine right to do so. Our divine right. And when we have to in order for us to receive that and to achieve that, we have to accept the willingness or the understanding from the divine, which means that right now we have to go beyond our limitations to receive. We have to be more quiet than ever. We have to be more still and understanding of the severity by the apocalyptic times that we are now witnessing on many different layers. You may or may not be experiencing this. And this is important Because if you look over your shoulder and you're not bothered by this, it means that you are protected from it, that you are exactly where you need to be right now. But in order for you to take the next step, you're going to have to pay attention to where you're going to have to move after that, because we are shifting, we are moving, we are migrating, right? As light workers, as those who are connected to the divine, as seekers that are willing to understand, we are being navigated to certain aspects of our life or certain focuses of our life to determine where it is that we need to be soulfully right now. And that's why that's why a lot of people feel either unshakable or shaken to the core, because they are somewhere where they do not belong. They are in an energy where they do not belong. They're in an environment where they do not belong. They're in an atmosphere where they do not belong. And the stress and the anxiety that is happening right now collectively is an indication that you are being pushed out. You are being called to go within. So there's no way to make this up. You know what I'm saying? Because you can feel it in your heart. You can feel that there's something on your soul. You can feel that there's something on your body that speaks to you, that is saying, hey, he's right. Because it's not him that it comes from. It's them, the divine, that is also speaking right now to you. And I think it's a humbling gratitude to be able to have the honor and the discipline to be able to do these things for ourselves, as I am speaking to you right now, with them, for them. You know, that all the piddly ass bullshit drama is how they say it, as we speak. All the piddly ass bullshit drama that is going on right now seems like a fight in the sandbox. It's a dog and a cat fight that you never win. And that's the simple terms. Is like, if you're going around in your head, another way of looking at it is, if you're going around in circles right now and you know it, then you need to stop. Hold yourself accountable for whatever it is that's enacting right now in your life, and understand that you're exactly where you need to be to take the next step in your life, to be part of the migration, to migrate yourself into higher consciousness, higher love, and ascension. You know, me and Stella have been talking about this recently for about 3 days now, that it's like we are doing something that I believe Spirit has never done before, as far as I'm being told. That we are taking our present lives and we're transitioning in a place where normally you are deceased to transition. Salah, a gift that we are being given that we don't know about, especially when everything is going around. So everything around us basically right now is telling us to go within, to receive, to honor, to appreciate, to commit to family, love, ascension, joy, happiness. It was funny because my wife literally told me on the steps as we were coming down, before we even thought about doing this, was, if it is not of joy, it's not the creator, which you are receiving right now, is what I'm being told. Each and every one of you, opening up to it might purify you and cause you to question a lot of the things that are happening in your life, but it's for the greatest, highest good. And if you are on that path, you need to honor that within yourself, because it's a soldier's journey. And we are all at war, is what they're saying, with our minds, with ourselves, and with the understanding of the higher being, that we truly have the ability to access divinity. And it reminds me of the breath work that I did today, because basically when you go on the path, you start learning about your lineages and where you come from. And in this particular demonstration, it was Egypt, because we know we have Egyptian ties. We are ascended beings from Egypt. And practicing breath work in the way that was practiced by the ancients actually allowed me to have a revelation of myself and my lack of sovereignty and worth that I truly was connected to. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I'm here speaking to this account today, is to be an example of the higher calling and the appreciation and the embracement of the divine, of the sovereign, which is also you, the sovereignty to receive within you and open up to the higher calling that is happening within you, because you all have gifts of the one, the true creator, is what they're saying. And they're meant to be distributed accordingly amongst the masses, you know, because we need, in the way that they're telling me, it's like, you understand that it's a higher calling. This is a higher path. It's a higher passion. You know, This isn't about, I feel like for a lot of people, this isn't necessarily a question of, well, what am I going to receive? It's more so an understanding of you will receive what you're meant to receive because you are in service to humanity. You are also in service to yourself, which is of the most importance because you are saying yes to your higher self and your higher calling. And we've said this before, you know, but the energy right now is asking us to look at ourselves, all right, and look within ourselves and look into ourselves and peer within to understand more of what's happening without and why within you. Salah, thank you. I love it when you raise.
Okay. So for about 2 weeks, I was hearing the verbiage spiritual revolution. And if you can't see what's going on, I ask you to go within and connect to the divine in your own sovereignty and ask to seek, and seek ye shall wonder, and when you wonder ye will find. And you will find because you're giving yourself that gratitude, that grace, and the respect to the divine to show you what it is this time that you're being moved through. These are things that I have spoken of for years upon years upon years, and there are people that have been here with me that I have said all these things way before many others have and occurred to. It's just that I speak them in lives. I don't need to put them on videos to get clout or anything like that, because I don't precify upon doubt. I just let the message come out in which I receive, and then you all see what it is in divine prophecy and order. So many of the people that have been around me for 4, 5, 6 years have heard of all these shifts and these rifts in which I have spoken of. And so it is a spiritual revolution that is a part of the solution. And this is where the tale begins of the two worlds from within. And the spiritual revolution is a part of the solution. You were born of two beings intertwined. You're a product of the rifts, but you're a part of the new shift. God, the divine, is moving its people. This is the prequel to the second sequel. You are my people. The present tense vibrates within. As you get moved from shift to shift and rift to rift, cities and things, the states that I've called, are shifting again. Here's where divine order takes place. You always understand that you cannot mix the divine with religious order or political ways, but it is divine prophecy to show you the ways and the plays of the redemption and the revolution and the triumph and what I have called forever. And I have said on this channel for over 6 years now, 2025 to 2030 will be the rebuild. 2025 to 2027 will be the crumble, and America will be rebuilt. Think about it this way, okay? There is divine authentic proof within the shifts of the astrology. If you want to rely on something that gives you solidification in this, every reign only lasts a certain amount of years. And in 2025, America is 2 years away from that reign. Call it the Kali Yuga, whatever you want to call it, okay? Pluto only comes into alignment, how long is that, every 200 and so on?
264 years.
264 years, okay? So you have to understand from a higher perspective, which is divine authority of universal energies and the planetary rulers which conduct these shifts. If you look at the planets down in this way and on this scale they are, it's a time clock. It's the universal clock. And this is what the Mayans were talking about. Back in 2000, the year Y2K, it wasn't the end of anything. It was the end of the old ways and the old plays and the ways that things existed in which they weren't supposed to be those ways. So the things that you are seeing when you're seeing the This is all part of the play, and it's all part of the show to get you to astray away from the sovereignty from within, which will change those things. The cities that I've called out, I think I called them out back in January, December. And I said, watch Texas, watch this city, watch that city, watch this state, watch that state. There are reasons why, but I don't even know why. But you have to realize and understand, not being political here, Trump's birthday is on the 13th. The rallies of the kings are on the 14th. And they are happening nationwide. You want to know why the riots are breaking out where they are? It's because the rally of the kings are putting this together to get you compromised into many different political shifts and rifts, which are a part of the old ways and the old plays and the old structures that have to shift. This is all part of the game. Many of us called, I think it was last year before even the election occurred. And I was like, Trump's going to get in and Musk is going to do him dirty. And it's all going to be part of the show. Mm-hmm. It all boils down to the money and the gold. Period. End of story. And it's been prophecy that was foretold many, many, many eons ago. You have to, this is the time, this is why he's saying, and he's receiving the message to go within. Because there's going to be so much deception. You can't even tell right now, quote unquote, there was a video that I saw of somebody saying that Jesus was back and he was in Israel and he was healing people and was supposedly healing a blind man and walking on water. I was like, try again. Because the energy will tell you everything from within when you understand the divine intelligence and the deliverance from within. And right now, the divine is trying to get you into the Queen of Swords energy, which is not being emotionally attached to anything but your own sovereignty, your own divinity, and your relationship with the creator of your understanding. Period. Because that's what's going to lead you. The reason why he's saying to go within is because you are going to get moved. Do you remember when I said time and time and time again, you are going to see all of these things outside of you, but you will not be a part of them. God is moving his people. God and the divine are moving his people because this is the second sequel and this is the beginning of the prequel to the second sequel. You are my people, and that has come through transmissions since 2001 in me. We are fighting principalities, not commonalities. You can't mix spirituality and what's been made up to be religion, cause poverty, greed, slavery, division, fear, and tell me that you are of divine authority. It doesn't work like that under the authority that I've understood my entire lifetime. Doesn't make sense. Anything that brings you anxiety, fear, confusion, delusion, which means to get you to question your identity, is not that of the divine.
Mm-hmm. That is
period.
That is not of the divine, is why you don't align.
The tale of two worlds are colliding within and without. Let freedom of what was always to be ring in divine prophecy. Now, here's something I'm being asked to share with you again. And these are the channelings and transmissions that I have received. And many of you have heard these. So sit in them, revel in them. I apologize, but they ask me to speak these things at certain times so that we can help those remember, okay? So these are many different channelings from 2021 that I have received that has come out in a whole entire prophecy that is full of activations and remembrances. The seed of creation, or did you forget? In the beginning, it was us and we were it. You wanted to experience it. Time and space is what took place from many different frequencies that allowed it to be brought on by many different creeds and beings that became the seed, which then became the word to be. The divine mother planted the seed of creation. Your mother earth that I created was never meant to be a way station. The sands of time. You were born to create. You were born to have fun. You were born to the light. That's where it begun. The sands of time have clawed your mind. Frequency turned to words, left your voice unheard. You forgot all that you learned when you emerged. Time and space is what took place. You were never meant to be erased in this densely lit place. You came to your senses with divine comprehension. You reinforced your prism, clearing out the masses. You finally chose to take off your rose-colored glasses. Your mind raced as your heart stood still, not knowing then what would take place. Red pill, blue pill, no choice at all, waiting for time and space to fall, wondering if and when you would hear the call. Come the one and come the all, as your mother's voice stood tall. You knew the answer and you heard your call. The spark, the fire, the flame, call it what you want here, your words are all the same. The spirits and the masters already know your name. It's an imprint through all time and space. Do you even remember from which dimension you came? How come you don't know or even remember your truest of name? The one the Creator gave you when it birthed you in all of your light with all of its sight. The light, time stood still the day you were born. You came out perfect, you were never meant to be torn. You were made to believe what your human eyes could perceive. Don't you see the light I gave you is inside of me? Make no mistake, oh my how you've grown. It shows in your smile a newfound home. The tides have turned, oh what a mess. What did you think, I was not in distress? Did you think I would forget? My children come from wide and far, uniting of their tongues will soon roar. The trumpets will sound and be silenced no more, in perfect peace and harmony once more. No longer can you claim my land, you see. It was never yours to begin with, it's what you made it out to be. Oh, how you have disrespected the one you call God, who is truest in nature. I sent my son in physical form to represent me, the eternal flame, the divine creator. He had natural abilities to be the protector and fulfill the divine prophecy, to complete the sacred sectors of geometry. He did exactly what I asked of thee, but you personified him, persecuted him to be, turned him into a sacrifice because you were scared of thee. But this time I made the order taller, that he comes back as she, all in divine order, you'll see. A gift to my children, a peaceful presence will return. Justice for all was my bond and my word. The Creator has watched all that you've done. Did you think you would get away with your fun? Torture, slavery, and greed from day one. Don't you worry, your judgment day will come. You've taken way more than what you need. This will no longer be a place of greed. No matter what race, lineage, or creed, my children have come to unite, you see. Under my grace, you took from every age, race, and gender, people suffering while you danced in a splendor, not thinking that my children of the light would catch on to your demise. Divide and conquer was your prize. The war you made was on their minds, only to trap their souls as your prize. There is one you could not trick, the Creator, the all, the infinity. Can't you see the tables have turned? You better run quickly. You made my children forget the prophecy. Through your words you used as frequency. Your lies and unspoken truths you hid from thee. But you forget the Creator can see every nook, every cranny, and every thought to be. For it wrote the divine prophecy of eternity. My children have come to unite, you see, from near and far. I put out a grand call for a great awakening. Come the one and come the all. My heart beat that grounds their feet. My lands, my rivers, my plants and trees. What a sweet treat, but they have forgotten what connects them all to me and you. A dream, some think, that won't come true. Far-fetched they think, but that's the key. Divine intervention no one can see, but the truest of eyes and hearts that beat. We returned the call, we knew the answer. The 144 was the answer. From every race, dimension, and creed, for they remember the code to be, as they have walked this path since the beginning of humanity. I hid them this time near and far. For every 1 million, there's only 3. I was way smarter than you can believe. We also gathered those that carry the feather and the rose to be. They come from faraway places, of many backgrounds, colors, and races, not from these familiar places. They are here to spark the masses, to create a higher expansion, and this is what you call rapid ascension. Inner earth and outer earth are about to merge. This will no longer leave your voice unheard. You found peace in the silence, left behind so much violence, only to become vulnerable once more, that left you on your knees in front of my door. Voices churned as your emotions burned, trying to find peace in the silence once more. Tender pieces finally put together in one frame, not from disdain, but because you finally remembered your name from which you came. The demons in your brain from which you came, you had to learn to refrain, until nothing but my voice remained. You had to learn that the spirits of disdain already knew your name as you came to complete your destiny once more. Turning the pages, you learn from the sages how to find peace in the silence once more. Moving away from spiritual violence. Your life, you knew, was never going to be a bore. The energies of the enemies knew when you were born. This is the meticulous beginning of our sequel. You had to learn that you were not all created equal. Your frequency and light were that of mine. This I had to teach you in due time. And soon you would learn that everything would work out fine. Trusting the process puts you humans in such distress. This time is not equal. That's why this is the beginning of the second sequel. You are my people. The spaces in the in-between is where you had to sew up the seams so your light cannot be seen. You have come so far from who you are to what you are. This is the most growth I've seen thus far. You had to come back home to me and no longer flee from what was inside of you and me. I am your equal. I created the heavens and the earth and all the planets that reside. Put your differences aside and come alive. Everyone transitions, which is what you call death, but not everybody lives and knows what it's like to give. Give to the one that gave to you. I reside in each and every one of you. The merging of the two, the inner you, the outer you. You call that your higher self, I think, to be true. Inner earth and outer earth. The heavens and the earth will merge once more. This cycle will no longer be born. It was all part of the perfect storm and the process in which you forget. Don't worry, it's nowhere near over yet. There's plenty of time to reflect and process all that you are. And once your knees hit the floor, you'll remember once more. It's true, I created the heavens and the earth with the help of your birth.
You know, if you have ever heard that, you know, through the time, because I think it's been about 3 years since that started evolving, you know, that was a bunch of excerpts that she received over time and then had to put back together over a year, a span of a year, year and a half.
Yeah.
You know, and this is how the prophetic works. This is how things come in for us. This is how we receive divine understanding. This is how we get to understand ourselves, you know. It's not necessarily, you know, it's not about it's not about focusing on the things that ail you. It's more so understanding that you are the awareness of the things that ail. You know, the things that move you, the things that you're passionate about, the things that pain you, the things that ail you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know, it's a tender moment that we need to have with ourselves more often. And when you do that, you realize how hard you have been on yourself because you've been conditioned to do so. And then you realize that the constraint that you place upon yourself by the way that you move, talk, and like precipitate around here, you know, is what the spirit is saying. You realize that you've taken on all this surface tension from everything around you. And I think collectively, this agitation that has happened these last couple of days is putting a lot of pressure on people to help them understand the interference or the messages that they are receiving outside of themselves because of this collective irritation. A lot of people might be in their heart chakra trying to figure out what the hell's going on in their chest. They might feel like they're short of breath or they're having palpitations unknowingly, you know, just not being able to understand what's going on right now. And this is the ascension. This is that awakening inside of us that are helping us understand ourselves better in a way of form, the spirit form. You know what I'm saying? Being the awareness in the body instead of the awareness of the body. You know what I'm saying? The soul in form, which is what you are, declaring more, you know?
Being spirituality.
Yes,
being
being the very thing that you were always meant to be that was taken away from thee. You know what I'm saying? You are not, it's almost like, I heard it earlier about freedom and what what freedom actually means. Freedom is sovereignty. It is it's inside of you. It's a knowing. You free yourself from the energetic bondages that keeps you where you're at right now in moments that displease you. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody, and it's almost as if the way that they're showing it to me is like everybody knows that they're in the fucking suck and they're having to settle and it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And this is our higher selves literally calling it to us and our soul literally telling us, hey, this is bullshit, but you need to rise. We need to rise above the concept of what we believe ourselves to be to see so much more because we've been limited by our reality. You know what I'm saying? And Yeah, they just walked away.
So
I think that's enough.
The bondage of thyself, and I want to explain that. Okay, the bondage of thyself is the trap within your mind. Okay, I have always said the war was on your mind and the prize was your soul, because if they could get the two to separate, you could never come within unity within. Because what happens is, we always have said it's the energy in motion, which is the emotion. The emotion is the energy inside. Well, that energy is your devotion to the Most High. So the Most High is going to reflect to you what you have been reflecting to it. And so therefore, when you reflect that back into your experience, it shows you how to shift. You shift when you choose to shift. Receive the gift of divine energy. The bondage of the self. They have always told me that the miracle was the perception change. Because as soon as you change your perception, the emotion follows that direction. But if they can get you to attach to the lower frame of mind and everything that you see in time, then you're never going to be relieving yourself of the bondage that you cascade upon yourself. I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that. Well, you continue to tell yourself what you don't like. What about what you do like? And so you continue to reclaim to the divine what you won't do and what you won't like. Well, why don't you tell the universe and the divine what you will do for a change? And see how that perspective shift starts to make the rifts within your own sovereignty, because the divine, which is the physical reflection of the sun, is going to recalibrate that back to you. And that's where you come out of your comfort zone. This full moon has asked you to stretch outside of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is ending. Your life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And so what that means is you're having to go within to really figure out where it is that you're being led into a heart forwardness place. Where do I need to go? What is next for me? Where do I take this energy? And so with doing that, you are connecting to the Most High. I want to explain to you something, because if people have like this irritation when I say certain things, and it comes from the spiritual identity lost and the torment and the tearing down of things in the church religious structure, okay? I am not about religion. Period, end of story. I'm not about conformity. I've always mentored people, and because of my native ancestral heritage and my shamanism, I'm for the open community. I do not care if you think that your higher power is a fucking doorknob, okay? As long as you have a power that is greater than your understanding outside of yourself, that has a divine favor in your life, that helps mold you and shape you and teach you, I don't care. It could be your dog for all I care. Okay, as long as you have something that you put trust, faith, and belief in that is carrying you through these places and spaces, that's what means something to me. I had a gentleman stand before me yesterday with all grace and due purpose. It was a beautiful conversation. And he said, there is only one way to God, and it's through the Christ, Jesus. And I said, hold on. I understand what you're saying. But when you say that word, you don't understand the expression of that verb. What does it mean to be Christ-like? Is what this was going on in my head. And I was like, love, compassion, unity, sovereignty, not fighting with power from here. Because the divine chosen ones don't need power. They come from a different authority within their own flower. And the word of truth and the word of presence is enough proof. And so you feel that reverberation. A lot of people come in here and they're like, Stella, you feel like fucking home. I've never felt so safe and so comfortable, so seen and so known. And I'm like, yes, that's because that's the Christ through my anointing, giving you that feeling of letting you know that it is true, that you are of divine sovereignty authority, and you can tap into that within you. It's reconnecting you to that divine sovereignty and authority within you. And so when he said that, of course, my little kid was like, hold on. Okay, I understand from a frequency of babble what you're saying, sir. But here's what I want to point out to you. When you mix politics and religion, you get really fucked up, number one. And number two, it's not of divine authority, okay? It is a man-made structure. Religion and politics is a man-made structure. It's not of divine authority, number one. Number two, how can you tell me that you're a Freemason and an evangelist Christian? There's misconstrued spiritual identity in your belief system in which you're speaking to me in pretenses anyway, because they run on two different belief systems. So you can see the confusion within people's own sovereign identity of the divine connection of divinity. And so it's always the spiritual identity, and this is why the divine has told me that the spiritual identity which is built on faulty foundations will not survive. It's the castles made out of sand. So this is why the divine is such a calling for you to sit with self, to allow things to expand and allow things to contract and allow the divine to show you where to shift at. Because when you are able to receive, you shift when you choose to shift. Receive the gift of divine energy. You are the one of the perpetual motion. You are the physical representation of the motion. You are the sovereign being to carry those things out in devotion that you receive. But if you choose not to shift into them, then how can you blame God, yourself, or your spirit team when you're choosing not to take accountability in your divine authority to do those things, to devote more self, to figure out more breath work, to open yourself more up? And I will bring this all the way back to Isis and esoteric magic. One of the reasons that in spirituality you knelt down is because of the spine being able to be erect in the kundalini of the energy, okay? It's not because you're coming from a lower state of awareness. It's because it erects our spine here in this pretense of awareness here to connect us to the divine sovereignty. You don't have to put your hands together like this. And what I do, which is a teaching from Isis, is I put my hands like this. Because number one, it deflects everything outside. Number two, it brings my intentions from here, from my elbows, which is in my heart space, to my third eye, up through to the crown, to the pollinator and the divine, to act accordingly. So this is why. It also allows me to take accountability, and when I ask for the truth and the wisdom and the clarity to be revealed, that I am taking accountability for my own actions, my own choices, because one of the greatest gifts that we were given here, not only our spiritual gifts and our divine authority of sovereignty, but also we were given the gift of free will. But when you keep yourself stuck because of ill will, then you are not free. And that's the release of the bondage of thyself. Things that you have made up about yourself in a false reality. Things that you have taken as face value because somebody else said so. It reminds me, they're taking me to a story real quick that I'll tell you. And maybe this will help shift something within that or help you see your power in a different way. So when I was younger, I would always wait for my friends to show up to go do something, right? We always had plans together to go do this or to go do that, right? And they wouldn't show up, right? They wouldn't show up. So then I wouldn't go to that experience, right? Or I wouldn't allow myself to do that thing because I was waiting on them. Number one, don't wait on anybody else. You're going to lose so much of your time, so much of your breath, and so much energy and effort waiting on someone else. Start that thing. Do that thing. Come forward with that thing. Because when you wait on somebody else, you put your own sovereignty and divinity up on the shelf. When you wait for somebody else, okay? So don't lose time by waiting for somebody else or waiting for the divine to come to you or waiting for your spiritual team to come to you. You sit and you act accordingly in your sovereignty and you ask for that clarity and that sacred divinity. Quit waiting on something to show up to you, to give you the message of where or when, how to shift. You go from the feeling of the flow of joy, of love, of compassion, of heart forwardness. And this is the being spirituality versus doing spirituality. So number 2, I would not only count myself then out of wasting so much time when I could have been doing something else that was more value, but instead I waited on somebody else time after time. Not only was then I disappointed within my choice of friendships and them letting me down time after time again, I was more upset with me letting myself down, believing that they were going to show up for me. So I decided to start and act in authority and never rely in an emotional space, quote unquote, on anyone else, not from a place of survival, but in a place of learning that I'm not going to wait on making something happen or shifting something happen. Okay? The divine doesn't wait in a sense for quote unquote the perfect time. The divine makes the perfect time. Because if it's in accordance with alignment with your divinity, then it will open up. But you guys are waiting for the next instruction, but yet the divine has already given you that instruction through the feeling of the vibration of what to do next in reverberation. So don't wait on someone else or something else to allow you that energy or that message to come in. Sit in sovereignty and divinity and ask for that to be given or received, the instruction. And you're going to receive it through a being space of heart openness and heart centeredness. Now, the other thing that I would lose out on is the experience by waiting on somebody else. I would, and then the only thing I did was let myself down. The only thing I did was then realize how I wasn't believing in myself, or I wasn't trusting myself to be able to go and have that experience or whatever by myself. And so this is type of the energy that's coming for a lot of you. It's like, it's time now to make the shift happen for yourself. Don't wait on somebody else. Start doing that thing. Start making that thing happen. You want to start and build that thing. Then go and receive where you need. You're asking. There's people that are asking like, where do I go? Where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? Okay, go into a space and place that the divine keeps calling you back to. If it's someone or something they keep putting in your face that you resonate with and you feel like you need to make a shift to figure out what you need to do next, reach out. Okay, if you feel like you need to go and be in water, go be in water. If you need to be and sit with self, because this is where you're redefining your spiritual identity and your spiritual boundaries for yourself. And it's all about the sacred divinity for yourselves as well right now. Okay, so thank you all for being here today. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Jay, do you have anything that you would like to say?
Yeah, I want to say, if you guys need help, with interpreting these things, come see us. You know what I'm saying? If these things resonate with you, give a shout out to us, like, share, subscribe, please, and basically, donate to the ministry if these things resonate, because we're going to do nothing but just keep hammering these messages in and help people understand themselves, because we're not telling anybody, and we're not telling you what to do. We might make suggestions and whatnot, but we're here offering you the messages from the divine to utilize your own discernment and how you're going to take these things and navigate your life from here on out, because this is meant to be, and you're ahead of the curve right now. For those of you who are actually paying attention, and from someone who has experienced from experiential awakening to now, you don't want to be left behind on the curve. Because it takes a lot of courage and fortitude to come up from the places that you decided to remain after messages like this. You know what I'm saying? We are all aware, right? This is why these messages are coming out. This is why in this time and this orchestration, you're all here listening to this message. So just like she, for example, gave you to listen to the divine, you are all listening to the divine. Now, whether you take this and you receive this, or decline it, or put something on top of it, or kind of like set aside rule, just understand that you are swaying from the divine as well. And that's what we help people with, because it's important for them to understand how these real life orchestration works, the intricacies of life, so we better understand ourselves to stop ourselves from doing things that we shouldn't be doing. right?
Or that don't align with your highest of intentions and good.
Yes.
Because I don't like to say should, because then people should on themselves. It's just understanding that there's a higher pretense for yourself. And you're having to disconnect from so many people, so many places, so many reverberations, because they don't align with what best outfits your sacred divinity at this time that's coming back online. You're re-remembering the deepest of DNA structures, and you're not just of one thing. You're not just of one being. You are multiple frequencies and multiple beings within your layer. And the gentleman Antonio said it in here. It's like the kingdom is within. I want to take that a little deeper, because it is. But what the kingdom of heaven, as I received messages yesterday that are up on YouTube now from that live, is that the kingdom of heaven is always been here. The veil is just splitting. Heaven has never been any different than here on earth. It's just now that the energy is splitting the veil. Okay, you can see that shift and that rift. Heaven is here on earth. It's always been here. It's just that many could not see or tap into that energy of, because of their own emotional triumphs, tribulations, and things to bring them back to the understanding of what is, what was, and what always will be. The temple of sovereignty. You are the temple. You are the temple of divine authority. And I've said that for a while on the channel, where in the temple, I believe they call this your temple because that's where you receive a lot of your messages in clear audience on that level. And I always taught a lot of my people that when you receive, how do you know that it's really that message in which you need to receive? Well, they're going to make you hear it, feel it, and see it, so that you have all three clarifications that it is of that. So your temple is where you mainly receive the clear audiences. That's why I personally believe that if you get hit in your temple, then many things can occur, and it cuts off that channel. And so if there's always frequencies obstructing your divine channel, and also within the cerebellum, we talk about the neuron network of Isis and the connection of the throne to the divine authority. Okay, in reflection, those neurons and transmitters, okay, actually make the neural pathways of the throne, which is exactly like Isis's throne sitting on top of her head, which is divine knowledge and connection. And so when you hear and feel those messages, right, it's because they're coming from the divine. But if you can't get through the mind of the warfare, the frequency, the clutter, the demotion of the notions, then you'll not be able to hear the truest self of the divine. And now, that's all I have for you, beautiful, lovely people, today. As we move along our way, we have a few mentorship sessions today to get through. If you guys have any questions or need anything, you're more than welcome to hit the link in the bio, visit the website as well. All right, take care of yourselves and each other. Jay, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I don't have anything else to say except that it's been a pleasure being able to spend this time with each and every one of you. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for being you.
Thank you. All right, take care.
Much love, fam. Take care.